Darryl lives in New Sharon. He's a registered nurse, registered guide, friend of nature and man. He's the executive director of LEAP. LEAP supports people with intellectual and developmental disabilities to live included lives in the home and community of their choice. Darryl's going to be talking about LEAP's Stone Soup Gardens project and specifically the improvements to accessibility that LEAP has planned for the spring of 2021. So take it away, Darryl.
Morning, everybody, and thank you, Dick. I'm going to attempt to share my screen here. Let's see if this works. All right, hold on. From beginning. Okay, can everybody see that? Can everybody see the PowerPoint?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I try to make it. Okay, there we go. So LEAP has a number of different programs for adults with developmental disability around Franklin County. All of them are small homes. No more than 4 people live in any home. Some of them are, we go into an apartment or go in and assist somebody in their own home. But in 1998, we bought an accessible ranch just outside of Farmington proper that included 40 acres. And when I became, well, before I became executive director, I realized we had that property up there and scouted it out. And as we looked to develop free local healthy wellness activities for staff and the people we supported, I realized we could do some things on that property that benefited our folks. And then eventually I started to realize it could also benefit other people in Farmington as well. So, you know, I remember taking my pruners and my flagging tape and fleshing out a trail through invasive thickets and all this other stuff with a dream of eventually having a wellness trail that we could incentivize for our staff. So we got that going. We use a well ticket. Staff can take it and put it in a box at the top of the trail and they can get incentivized through our wellness project. But it didn't take me long to realize that the nature of our business was helping folks that maybe couldn't walk all the way up to the top of that trail. So we started adding in accessibility wherever we could, realizing that full accessibility to any type of a woodland trail system isn't really possible, but that making more areas accessible to more people was the right thing to do. Not only because they could get to great special places, but because it sends a message that we're thinking of you and we're gonna include you in our planning on this project. So here we go. I just put some pictures together in a PowerPoint and I'll just kind of talk my way through it, hopefully in about 20 minutes. It's located at 482 Farmington Falls Road, just before Dan and Scott's funeral. On the left is a dirt road that goes up in about maybe third of a mile. And there's some parking away from the house. Bear in mind, there is 4 people that live in that house and it's their home, and the access to the trail is, you know, about 50 yards below the house. We have a parking lot there. This is the sign that's off Route 2. Here's an example of one of our direct support professionals assisting Mandy to do some gardening in her raised bed. What we've learned is that one raised bed style doesn't fit all people. So we're actually going to be adding some different types of raised beds this year as part of this project that allow people with different types of wheelchairs or walkers to access them. That's part of our improvements for this year. The whole project up there is really built by volunteers and through donations. I thought this picture was a good example. Peter Judkins of Franklin Savings Bank gave us some money towards lumber that Hammond Lumber gave us at a steep discount. In fact, volunteered some. And then the project platforms along the Fit Trail, and this is actually the cool down contemplation station at the top of the field maze, was built by the Foster Tech carpentry program. So, I mean, that one picture right there kind of shows several little things that we're doing. And then a lot of LEAP people have volunteered too as well. They don't get paid for that. Here's another example of some volunteers. This is the UMF lacrosse team. And we had a huge grapevine that was kind of going over the trail on a tree that was breaking. So what we did was built a trellis and kind of trained the grapes over the trellis. So as you come down the trail, you know, you got this cool grape arbor to go through. And we did that without any equipment. The girls actually were standing on each other's shoulders and using the power equipment to drill and saw. It was kind of fun and interesting. And I think they had a really good day. And a lot of those girls actually came back and ran and used the trail during training while they were at UMF. We also do education up there. I think everybody knows Patty. She did some GPS training, but she's also done education up there with us on pruning apple trees and invasives, identifying invasives and how to remove them. We've been the recipient of a Project Canopy grant through the Maine Forest Service, which has helped us get equipment to be able to do some of this stuff. So it wasn't paid for by LEAP. It's an all-season fitness wellness area. Here's an example of some LEAP staff and some consumers getting ready to snowshoe the Stone Soup Gardens Trail. Here's an example of one of the fit stations. At the very base of the trail, we have what's called an accessibility station. That's a concrete pad with raised beds and a banding station so that somebody could go in and work out, being in a wheelchair or walker or unable to access other parts of the trail. And we have a warm-up station, strength station, aerobic station, cool-down contemplation station. This is an example of the strength station. And we tried to make everything fit into the surroundings up there. So we built this into the side of a big old rock that had a maple that was probably 200-300 years old that was just clinging to life. All the round rocks are weighed and have a number on them so that you can kind of do lifting that way. The little bands on the right are a TRX station, so you can do all kinds of workouts from there. We've also got heavy bands at the strength station where we would have light bands, et cetera, at the warm-up stations. So we try to make everything fit into the woodland so you kind of notice it and can use it, but it doesn't deter from what's going on up there. Here's an example of some folks just hiking the trail in winter. We do have one motion activated game camera up there. I guess they catch a lot of people, but they also catch a lot of deer. We've got bobcats up there. I won't mention whether we've seen bear or not because we want to keep people walking up there. So really, we do this for LEAP. We started it for LEAP. However, we realize as a nonprofit, we also like to give back to the community in as many ways as possible. So if you want to go up there and snowshoe during the winter, we have snowshoes that are hanging on the shed. All you got to do is put them on, use them on the honor system, and then return them to their place after you're done. And we've done this for a number of years now. We've never lost a snowshoe or had a problem with that situation. The property up there, I've come to learn, has a ton of history. I've talked to people that have stopped in and walked the trail who have lived there at various times. I think Robert Verhoeven gave me a couple of pictures from when his family owned the property. And this is them harvesting apples from one of the huge macks that's in the lower field. And that still exists. It's in rough shape now, but It still exists. There's also other kind of historical elements to the property, including stone walls and rock wells. You can almost see where people used to go get their water and then hand deliver it down to the farms. So we've identified those special features as unique and interesting. So as people walk the trail, if they're not doing the Fit Trail program, they can kind of check out these things, and it gets people thinking about maybe preserving history and what history is in the area. We do a lot of different things up there. We do both sunflower and pumpkin gardens, and we do community gardens, and we do leap gardens. But one of the things we really try to do is promote pollination. And we've been doing that for years, but I just applied for a pollinator grant through the NRCS. So we're going to be learning to do pollination in a few different swaths on that property, understanding how important bees are to our food sources, and especially including that large area just to the right of us that's not really going to be very bee friendly, where all the solar panels are going in. We're trying to create a bastion for all the critters, including the pollinators up there. Here's an example of the kind of the top of the trail now, where we've put in hard, firm trails. If you look down here, you can see a bunch of apple trees planted along a pathway, and then you see hard, compacted crusher dust that comes up around a bunch of blueberries. And what we've done is tried to make the apples and the blueberries accessible to people, so you can wheel up there or be pushed up there and do pick your own. But it's a ton of maintenance. It requires weeding and compacting on a regular basis. So we're going to upgrade some of that to pavers, so that it makes getting through there in a wheelchair a lot less difficult for folks. So that's part of our project that we're doing now, is accessibility improvements. This works. It just, you get lost in the weeding and the compacting. We really don't have people for that. So there's another kind of view looking up at that. The United Way has helped us with this project through a grant, as well as other funding sources. Here's an example of the gazebo at the beginning of the trail, a little place to sit and rock. The picnic tables, we've got a couple of those. They're long, so you can access those with wheelchairs on the ends. This is kind of the start of the Fit Trail, if you will. There's one of our woodland visitors. So we try to promote inclusion, and that includes everybody, including our dear friends. One of the things that's important to me, I guess, and us, is that we have something that people look forward to. I have some aspirations on childhood obesity. And if you're just going out and hiking a trail, that's one thing. But if you got unique, fun things, maybe you hook kids in the activity that they can have a good time, and by the way, you burn some calories getting some exercise along the way. This is my trail breaking snowshoes and Charlie. So our project for 2021, what we try to do is a little bit each year, maintain what we have and do a little bit each year. This year, we're going to do a little bit more. We had a local person step up and give us a donation. And they said to me, use it as you think it will have the greatest impact. So I thought about it a little bit, and I thought about making the Stone Soup Gardens project more accessible to more people. That person thought that was a great project, and it was a catalyst to our fundraising for 2021 for this project. This year, we're going to add a wheelchair swing, add some more raised beds that are going to be designed for easier access than the ones we built. We're going to improve some of those hard, firm access areas with pavers versus the crusher dust. We've currently fundraised $6,000 of the estimated $10,000 it's going to take to do this project. And really the project is, it's used by Leapers, but it's not really for Leap, it's for the community. One of my favorite stories of all time up there was the first year we built the raised beds on the accessible station. We had somebody from one of the local nursing homes book, we basically say, hey, we have all these community plots, including some raised beds. And somebody from a local nursing home booked one of the raised beds, and they were working there with their caregiver. And one day I went over and talked to him. I'd seen him there a few times. And the lady couldn't talk. She was in a walker, seated, weeding. But the caregiver said she had always had a big home with lots of gardens, and the fact that she could get down and use the accessible garden at Stone Soup put a new light in her eye. She said she looked forward to it all week. And then when they went out there, it's all she talked about for the rest of the day. So that made it, the whole project worth it to me, to make that difference in that person's life. And that's kind of symbolic of what it's all about at Stone Soup. And it's also symbolic of what LEAP does as we help people, live the best life they possibly can, and, fill in where we need to, and only where we need to help them gain access to whatever it is, whether it's mobile access to, pick your own apples at Stone Soup Gardens, or access to, help with banking and medical appointments and some of the other things that LEAP does. So that's really all I had for my presentation today. And I'm certainly willing to take any questions that folks might have.
Darryl, I have a question.
Yes.
It's a beautiful layout. Did you come up with that yourself, or did you have some help from a landscape professional?
No, we just, we kind of picked away at it, and we've managed to kind of, we put our brains together, kind of collaborative. And a lot of people have had little pieces in it. Typically I might have a concept and I'll say, hey, what do you guys think? And they'll say, oh no, maybe this will be better. This will be better. So that's kind of how it all evolved. We are looking at using professionals to put in the pavers and level that off. We don't have the resources for that. So most of it's been done with volunteers.
Darryl, this is Joseph O'Brien. How you doing?
Hey, Joe.
Could you speak a little bit to your budget and talk about what kind of maintenance costs you have every year?
In general, or for this project?
In general.
Okay, so we own about 13 different homes. And in those homes, we are responsible for maintenance. We have one full-time maintenance person. I would say our maintenance budget is probably $120K when you look at all the contractors and this person. Most of the work at Stone Soup Gardens is volunteer, although we do allow a couple hours a week to maintain the fit trail because that's related to our incentive program there. So it's a lot for one person, to tell you the truth. We could use two.
Dennis O'Neill has a question.
Kind of a comment, if you will. My wife's aunt, Marge Goodwin, and her husband built the house up there, and her family owned the land originally. Bobby Verhoeven is her nephew as well.
Okay, yeah.
And so that she's quite pleased with everything that's been done up there. And she would like to donate $2,000 to your fund for making those improvements to get you a little closer to your goal. If you just tell me where you want me to send the check.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm humbled by that. And I think I've met her. I think I've talked to her up there. And she's another reason it's rewarding to kind of do this stuff. So yeah, you know, I can come find you, Dennis, or you can mail it to me at Leap. I'll send you a note.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
That's awesome.
And it's great what you've done up there. Absolutely fabulous.
Thank you.
Unbelievable vision.
That's wonderful news, Dennis. Any other questions for Darryl this morning?
Yeah, Darryl, this is Patty. So good job up there. It's amazing how it's progressed. And just wondering what the usage has been, and did it change because of the pandemic?
That's a good question. I think it's increased a little bit, Patty. We have regular users that are leapers, if you will. Maybe 6 or 7 clients that use it regularly and a dozen staff. So all those people usually cycle through in the course of a week. But I've seen a lot of different faces go through. By the time I get over there after a storm to check out the trail, it's already been broken on snowshoes, even if it's the afternoon or the day after a storm. I think increased use, although anecdotal, because I don't do an actual count, is a safe bet.
Good.
Any other questions for Darryl? Darryl, thank you so much on behalf of Rotary. I think you did a great job, and what a wonderful project.
Yeah, no, thank you very much.